Hello everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Weekly Report. Why should we fight wars for Ukraine and Israel? When you take on the role of the world's policeman, don't be surprised when the countries who cannot fight their own wars calls 911. That is exactly what is happening to the United States on two fronts, and it is bankrupting our country, depleting the military that should serve our own national interests, and threatening to drag the U.S. into World War III. Last week, Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky publicly presented his victory plan. It was delusional. Immediate NATO membership for Ukraine, NATO strikes against incoming Russian missiles, and permission to use Western long-range missiles for strikes deep into Russia, including Moscow and St. Petersburg. The real intent was not hard to understand. Ukraine is on the verge of losing its war with Russia and is desperate to draw the United States military into the fight. There were numerous opportunities to avoid this bloody war. But at every step, the Ukrainian leadership listened to Western neocons like Boris Johnson and decided to keep fighting Russia down to the last Ukrainian. But now that they are nearly down to the last Ukrainian, they are calling on us to step in and fight the country with the most nuclear weapons on earth, Russia, in a battle that could not be more unrelated to our actual interests. Washington's answer should be simply but firm. No more weapons, no more money, you're on your own, make peace. Would the U.S. be mortally wounded if the people in eastern Ukraine were allowed to secede from Kiev and join Russia? Would anyone except the Russian-obsessed neocons in D.C. think tanks even notice? Likewise with Israel. Tel Aviv has, in response to the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack, launched a war to annihilate Palestinians from Gaza, invade and occupy southern Lebanon, and degrade the military of Iraq and Syria and take on Iran. But the Israeli military has nowhere near the capacity to fight so many wars on so many fronts, so it has increasingly demanded U.S. involvement in the conflicts. Already, the U.S. has provided some $23 billion in additional military aid to Israel and has employed U.S. military assets in the region to shoot down missiles and provide increased weapons and intelligence. But it's still not enough for Israel. To fight Iran with its significant military capabilities, Israel appears desperate to drag the U.S. military into the battle. The stationing of one or perhaps two THAAD air defense systems, each with 100 U.S. troops to operate them, is part of that effort. These 100 to 200 U.S. troops are illegally engaged in combat. But what's worse is that they are being used as a tripwire. U.S. and Israeli leaders understand that they will be considered legitimate targets for any additional Iranian missile attack. But as soon as American troops start getting killed in Israel, there will be a massive push for further U.S. involvement. Imagine the mainstream media war propaganda if such a terrible thing happens. That is no way to use members of the U.S. Armed Services. It is the opposite of supporting our troops. Washington's response to Israel trying to drag us into its war with Iran should be just like with Ukraine. No more weapons, no more money. You're on your own. Make peace. That is what a pro-American foreign policy looks like. Our founders understood it very well and wrote about it often. It's called non-intervention. Thanks for listening.